everyone, Marianne here. So it's been a while since my last video. This most recent semester has been incredibly hectic, so I haven't had much time to film or even read. However, right now we are in spring break, so I can do some catch up on some reading and some filming. Now, I did a recent bookshelf tour where I went over the main shelves where I have all my read books. So I completely forgot to do a bookshelf tour for my unread books, my TBR books. So I thought I'd do that today. I did do this one, I would say like a few years ago. So it'll be nice to kind of show you an update of, the books I haven't read. Maybe you'll see some familiar titles, hopefully not so much. I do like to read what I own as much as possible. So this is the small shelf. If you've been following me for quite a while, you would know that this was the shelf that I would film in front of before moving over to the main shelves. So this one is my TBR shelf, but it also houses my movie collection. So these are mainly like Criterions, some Arrow Video, other miscellaneous films. And then over here we have my TBR shelves. It's very busy, messy, I'm not gonna lie. My main shelves are much more organized. This one, not so much. You have books, on top of other books, and I have books shoved in the back. But yeah, I'll do my best to show you all of them. So yeah, let's get started. So starting on this side, we have Brahms' Lost Gods. Brahm, who is an author and an illustrator. I've been meaning to read this for quite a while. It's been on TBRs. I've been, putting it off. I think it's because I anticipate it being sad, and I'm just not in the mood for that right now. So I picked this one up because the premise felt loosely reminiscent, at least for me, of Son of the Sands, in the sense that you have this man who is betrayed, sent to purgatory, and he's trying to crawl his way out of purgatory to be reunited with his pregnant girlfriend. I don't know, it kind of reminded me of Tom's journey, trying to go up the tower to be reunited with his wife. So yeah, that's initially why I picked it up, but I am looking forward to at least trying Brahm. We have Summers at Castle Auburn by Sharon Shin. This is, I believe, a fantasy from the early 2000s. It might be like late 90s, early 2000s. This is I would say, coming of age fantasy story. Our main character is actually a bastard child, similar to Fitz. And she spends her summers at Castle Auburn. So she spent her childhood days at Castle Auburn, and she has very idyllic memories of it. And then I think we follow her as an adult, and she's kind of looking back at her time at Castle Auburn and then realizing it's not as idyllic as she once thought it was. Then we have Pride and Prometheus. I did feature this in a recent bookshelf tour. Not bookshelf tour, book haul. So yeah, this is just a mashup of Frankenstein and Pride and Prejudice. So this is if Mary Bennett fell in love with Victor Frankenstein. So very interesting. We'll have to get to that one. We have Twice Lost by Phyllis Paul. This is part of the McNally editions. So this one takes place in a small English village where a young girl named Vivian Lambert disappears from her parents' garden. And there's one girl, she's a woman now, Christine, who is kind of haunted by the disappearance of Vivian because she was the last person to have seen her, and she believes that, hey, if she had been nicer to her, maybe Vivian, wouldn't have disappeared, she'd still be around. But years have passed, and Vivian, a woman, shows up claiming to be Vivian. And in the back here it says, "Who could have been so cruel to do away with poor Vivian Lambert, and why oh why couldn't she just stay dead?" So yeah, that sounded very interesting to me. I've never heard of this author. I've never really read from the McNally edition, so I wanted to check this one out. Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. I'll get to this one eventually. I haven't read any Russian lit. I think the last one I read was Master Margarita, might be. I'm not entirely sure, but I really ought to get to like Tolstoy or Dostoevsky. It's ridiculous. We have The Hole by Hee Young-pyun. So this is a work of Korean fiction. People have likened it to Misery. This is about a man named Ogi who has been in a car accident that has killed his wife and has left him, I believe, paralyzed. He's crippled now. And he's in the care of his mother-in-law. And it's complicated because him and his wife, before she died, didn't really have the best relationship. And his wife and mother-in-law were close with one another. He's bedridden and his mother-in-law is supposed to be taking care of him, but I believe she starts neglecting him. And he starts to notice that she's digging a hole in the garden, and he begins to wonder, what's that all about? And she claims, I'm just gonna finish what my daughter started. So I don't know. That premise sounded very interesting to me. So it's very short. I'll see how this one ends up. I haven't really read a lot of Korean lit before, so hopefully I really love it. We got Shutter Island by Dennis Lehane. I've never read any Dennis Lehane, and I wanted to start with Shutter Island. I have seen the film. The starring Leonardo DiCaprio. I believe Martin Scorsese was the one who directed it. But yeah, I really enjoyed Shutter Island, the movie, and I did want to try out the book. I know what happens at the end, but you know what? I can still really enjoy it. I mean, that's the case for Silence of the Lambs. I initially watched the film and then read the book and ended up loving them both. So that could be the case for Shutter Island. We got Outer Dark by Cormac McCarthy. So I have read one other Cormac McCarthy, and that was No Country for Old Men, and that was like back in college. I gave it a 4 stars. I guess I liked it well enough, but I have never thought about it ever since. I don't even have the urge to watch the film. So yeah, I didn't hate it or anything. I'm not a Cormac McCarthy hater, but I don't know. I just did not have the urge to continue on with his work. However, as I was going through Barnes & Noble, I stumbled upon Outer Dark, and the premise for this one intrigued me out of all the other books there. So this takes place at the turn of the last century, so I'm thinking like late 1800s, early 1900s, and it takes place in Appalachia. You have this brother and sister who have had a child together, and the brother basically abandons the child in the woods, abandons the baby in the woods, and tells the sister, oh, he died. However, the sister finds out that he lied to her, and she decides to go after or go look for the baby. And so it says here, she sets forth alone to find her son. Both brother and sister wander separately through a countryside, being scourged by 3 terrifying and elusive strangers, headlong toward an eerie apocalyptic resolution. I just get these biblical primal vibes from the premise that really appeals to me. So hopefully this ends up being a 5-star read, and that it helps me ease into McCarthy's other work. And next to that, we have The City and Its Uncertain Walls. So this is Haruki Murakami. Similar to McCarthy, I've only ever read one other book by Murakami, and that was Sputnik Sweetheart. I did enjoy it, but just like No Country for Old Men, it didn't really inspire me to check out more of his work. However, I read the premise to The City and Its Uncertain Walls, and I thought, you know what? This is going to be the next Murakami that I read. It's about a man whose girlfriend goes missing, and he believes that she has disappeared into this imaginary town that they used to talk about, and there she's working as a librarian in a dream library of sorts. And on the back here, it says, a love story, a quest, an ode to books, and to the libraries that house them. So that sounded right up my alley. So 2026 appears to be a year where I'm going to be going back to authors that I've tried before and didn't really continue on with. So yeah. Next is Entwined by H.M. Long. This is one of my most recent additions to the TBR. So this one is the first book in a fantasy duology, if I'm not mistaken. And it's historical fantasy, so this takes place during the Gilded Age. I really enjoy the Gilded Age. And I also picked this one up because I believe it was the author who likened it to The Hexologist by Josiah Bancroft, and I love The Hexologist. So you know what? Historical fantasy, Gilded Age, Hexologist vibes. I decided to give it a shot. I'm not too familiar with the plot. From what I remember, the premise is actually pretty detailed on the back, so I'm just going to go into it blind, basically. Next we have The Truth by Terry Pratchett. This is a standalone within the Discworld. We got 2 NYRBs. Just going to move this book here. We got Stoner by John Williams. I have a feeling I'm going to love it, but I don't want an existential crisis at the moment, so putting it off. The Invention of Morel by Adolfo Bioy Casares. This is a work of Argentinian literature, so I haven't really read a lot of Latin American lit, so hopefully I get more into it. This is a very, very slim novel, and the back really intrigued me. It says, this fantastic exploration of virtual realities also bears comparison with the sharpest work of Philip K. Dick. I adore Philip K. Dick, at least from what I've read from him. It is both a story of suspense and a bizarre romance, intrigued, in which every detail is at once crystal clear and deeply mysterious. I'm sold. So yeah, that's The Invention of Morel. And then next to that, we have some more Penguin, Black Spines. We got Ovid's Metamorphosis. This is just a book to kind of like dip in and out of. I'm not going to be like reading that continuously. We got Nana, because I need to have an Emile Zola ready and at hand. We have The Dark Eidolon and Other Fantasies. I still think this was in my previous TBR Shelf Tour. So I still haven't gotten to this one yet, unfortunately. But yeah, Clark Ashton Smith, he was part of the Lovecraft Circle at the time, and I do want to read more of his work. Or I want to start his work. I actually haven't read from him yet. So yeah. I Never Promised You a Rose Garden by Joanne Greenberg, which I really ought to read, considering the subject matter is just so interesting to me. So yeah, this one kind of explores mental health, particularly during the time period of, the 1960s. Okay, here we have Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you might not know that I recently acquired all the out-of-print Penguin English Library editions of Thomas Hardy's work. So that includes Return of the Native, Under the Greenwood Tree, and Jude the Obscure. So Jude the Obscure, I would say, is the hardest out of all the out-of-print Hardys to get, and it's among the hardest to get of the out-of-print Penguin English Libraries, period. But yeah, I was able to get this off of Abe Books for an insane deal. It is not in the best condition, but you know what? It's still good. Still good. So yeah, Jude the Obscure, regarded by many as like Hardy's most tragic novel, and that's saying a lot because the man does love to put his characters through the ringer. It actually says here on the back, with its frank and fearless depiction of sexual relationships, Hardy's last novel provoked outrage and was even burned in public when it was published in 1895. So yeah, I'll be in for a real treat, but I'm going to be saving that to the last because I'm just not emotionally prepared for it. And then next to that, we have Eugénie Grandet by Anouar de Balzac. So this one, I'm not going to lie, picked it up off of a, whim. The back quote, who is going to marry Eugénie Grandet? I'm not going to lie, that was kind of the clincher to get me to pick it up because I just love 19th century lit and marriage shenanigans. So this is a work of French literature, which I really want to get into more. And I've never read any de Balzac. And this is about Eugénie Grandet, whose grandfather is very miserly and has, keeps the family under his thumb, basically. And the story starts off when Eugenie's cousin Charles, who's penniless and orphaned, lives with them. I believe they fall in love, but then her grandfather has other plans for Eugénie. Plans that involve, money. And then next to that, we have The Hill of Dreams by Arthur Machen. This is part of a series, an edition of series called, if you read in the back, it looks like Mandelion, but surely not. So I'm going to say Mandillion. So I'm just going to say Mandillion Press. So The Hill of Dreams, I'm not going to lie, had no idea about this book, despite me being a huge fan of Arthur Machen's, short stories. This is a novel of his, and it's basically following this man named Lucian Taylor, who stumbles upon these, Roman ruins and starts experiencing visions. I've heard it described as a book that is less about plot and more about evoking imagery, sensations, all of that. Look, I'm a huge fan of Mackin. Out of all the authors that inspired Lovecraft in his work, Mackin is my favorite, so yeah. And if you want to know more about Mandelian Press, says here, they unearthed lost literary gems written by women and weirdos in the very long 19th century. So I have a feeling a lot of weird fiction is going to pop up from this press. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on them. And hopefully I get to this one soon. We got The Human Cord by Algernon Blackwood, part of the British Library Tales of the Weird. Oh my lord. But yeah, this is a novel of his that deals with sound, and this ex-clergyman who wants to enact this ritual of sorts using sound and pitch and all that. And then over here, you saw me remove this from the top. It's my current read, and that is Claire and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. So I remember when this came out, and I remember people being like, oh, it's not as great as like Reigns of the Day and Never Let Me Go. So I'm not gonna lie, all the negative buzz kind of kept me away from Claire and the Sun, but recently I've heard a lot of people talk about this book and praising it. So you know what? Bit the bullet, got this edition and decided to read it. And this one does match my other Ishiguros. This one I got from Penguin Books, and apparently the person who sold it got it, I think, from an airport bookstore in Frankfurt. So that's cool. And they were selling it for super cheap, like $1. So that's great. So yeah, that's Clara and the Sun. Now I'm going to take some of these books out and then show you what I have hidden in the back. So in the back here we have Night Voices and Night Journeys. So this is volume 1 of Lair of the Hidden Gods. So this is a series, a collection of Japanese stories that are heavily inspired by the Cthulhu mythos. So that's really cool. I do have volume 2 somewhere. We have Lord of the World by Robert Hugh Benson. Robert Hugh Benson was a Catholic priest, and this is a work of dystopian literature that actually predates both, 1984 and Brave New World. So that's very interesting. So I do want to check this one out. And then we also have Happy Place by Emily Henry, courtesy of Evie. She's the one who inspired this purchase. I do want to make an attempt at modern contemporary romance. So yeah, those are the books in the back. The rest are just like DVDs and stuff. Okay, so now we're down here at the bottom shelf. By the way, I don't think I mentioned this already, but yeah, there's no rhyme or reason to like the ordering of the books here on this TBR shelf. On my main bookshelf, like I order it by like genre and everything, but here it's just like, okay, where can you fit, basically. So starting off, we have The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. This was another purchase inspired by Evie because she really likes this trilogy and thinks that I'm going to enjoy it. So yeah, we got Dune by Frank Herbert. This was a gift by a booktube friend, Brian at BellTube. Gonna shout out Brian. Gonna shout out his channel. Please check him out. Super cool dude. We got Elric of Melniboné. This is a collection of like the first stories in the Elric saga. I don't know. I want to try some, Michael Moorcock. Elric of Melniboné. He's kind of like an iconic figure within like classic fantasy, grimdark classic fantasy. I'm not sure, but yeah, I thought I'd give this one a try. We got Conan. This is the first stories of Conan the Barbarian, the ones written by Robert E. Howard. I'm only interested in reading the Robert E. Howard penned Conan stories. I know like there are authors right now who are writing Conan stories, but yeah. When you think of sword and sorcery, I think the first one to come to mind is Conan, so I just wanted to check these ones out. Next, we have Discover. I finally have my Grubby Little Myths on Discovery. This is written by J.J. Minton, or the Mintons, John, Amy, and Jacob Minton. great channel here on BookTube. If you don't know them, check them out. I obviously had to pick this one up because this is the first book in a 5-book series that is heavily inspired by Lovecraft, and it's cosmic horror, weird fiction, but it's also very much a genre blender, so that's what really appeals to me as well. And here's a really cool image of the Mintons in the back. So yeah, I am going to get to this one for sure. I don't know when, but soon. It's gonna happen soon. This one is also going to happen soon, but yeah, I need to get to The Way of a Dan by Philip Chase. Philip Chase is another booktuber here, and he's just amazing. He's had me on his channel. Really great guy, such a pillar of the fantasy booktube community. So I need to get to The Way of a Dan for sure. We have Fearsome Fairies, Haunting Tales of the Fae. So this is part of the British Library Tales of the Weird, but this is sort of like their hardcover sister series to the regular paperbacks. So this one is all about the Fae. This is the type of Fae that I really enjoy. So yeah. This is just a collection of short stories about them. Next we have Alien Clay by H.N. Tchaikovsky. This one I plan on being the next Tchaikovsky that I read. I'm trying to get to his all of his standalones. So yeah, that's gonna be my next one. Shadow and Claw. So this is the first 2 books in the Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe. I actually started Shadow of the Torturer, but I got sick. And I decided to I just wasn't in the mood for it, so I decided to DNF it. I will get to it eventually because I do want to read Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe. Some people have described it as being difficult, impenetrable, confusing as heck, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna really enjoy it. I heard it being described as weird, and I do enjoy weird. We have The Mechanical by Ian Tregillis. Alan from the Library of Alexandria and his book club really got me interested in this. So this one is part of historical fantasy trilogy, and we're following the French Catholics and the Dutch Protestants fighting with one another, and the Dutch have these, I believe they're called, I forgot if they're called clackers or clankers, basically automatons that they have kind of instilled with sentience. Talks about the subject of religion, free will, and all that. Next we have The Curse of Chalion by Louis McMaster Bujold. I've just heard so many good things about Bujold and The Curse of Chalion, so I decided to pick it up. They had it at Barnes & Noble, so you know what? Yeah, I'll snatch it. Then we have By Blood, by Salt. This was a gift to me by Tori. This is by J.L. Odom. I believe this was the most recent winner of the Spiffbo contest. So, I don't know, really intrigued. I know that Tori, Dr. Philip Chase, they really enjoyed this one. It's military fantasy, which I don't really gravitate towards too, but I heard it's really great, so I'm going to give it a shot. And then over here we have the smaller books. So we have White Nights by Fyodor Dostoevsky. So this is actually a compilation of 3 of his works. It's not just White Nights. So hold on, let me just find the table of contents. Okay, so we have A Nasty Business, The Make One, and White Nights. I'm not gonna lie, I did start this. I started reading A Nasty Business and I just was not feeling it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be frank with you. I was kind of bored. So I will get to this one, but I think I'm just gonna go straight into White Nights because I don't want to push through the other 2 when I just really wanted to read White Nights. So yeah, we got some a poetry collection by Keats, Everyman's Library Pocket Poets. Not super into poetry as much as I want to, but I do want to read from Keats. So yeah, then we have, okay, listen, you see this bookmark? Yeah, I'm technically a little over halfway for an autumn war, and I've kind of DNF'd it. I don't know. I do not have the urge to continue on with An Autumn War. I will eventually, but not right now. And it kind of sucks because I am more than halfway done with it. And I don't want to like reread it again. I really don't. But I just don't have the urge or motivation to continue on with it. And I don't want to DNF this series. But yeah, I stuck a pin in it. So yeah. Then we have Assassin's Quest and Royal Assassin. I love these Michael Whalen illustrated mass market paperbacks. You know, obviously these are the books 2 and 3 of, oh my god, I'm blanking on the name. Oh my god, what is the name of this trilogy? Oh my god. Uh-oh, Assassin trilogy? Oh my god, Derry's gonna kill me. You know what I mean? I love Assassin's Apprentice. I will get to Royal Assassin and Assassin's Quest, okay? Just don't worry. Next we have Lord of the Rings. Can you believe it? I have not read The Lord of the Rings. And I should. It's a trilogy. It's not long. It's not like it's like 8 books long or anything like that. But yeah, I haven't gone to it. I did try to read Lord of the Rings, like The Fellowship of the Ring, when I was in middle school, which was a mistake because I just was not ready for it. But I do plan on reading it, hopefully this year, but who knows. I have read The Hobbit, so I don't know why it's on this shelf. And then we have The Lions of Arashan by Guy Gavriel Kay. I do want to read some Guy Gavriel Kay, but yeah, those are the ones that we have here. And then we have some books in the back, so just bear with me. I'll show you what I have there. So yeah, this second portion of the shelf is turning out to be a bit messy, but here we go. We have The Curious Case of H.P. Lovecraft by Paul Holland. This is a biography of H.P. Lovecraft. Is it the best one out there? Maybe not. Did the cover sway me to purchase it? Yes. Next we have Visions of the Divine, an artistic journey into the mystery of the Eucharist. And then we got the second volume to Lair of the Hidden Gods. This is Inverted Kingdoms, edited by Asamatsu Ken as well. So if I really enjoy the first volume, I'm going to be picking up this second one. In the back here, we got The Amulet of Samarkand. This is the first book in the Bartimaeus trilogy by Jonathan Stroud. I read this back in middle school, really enjoyed it. Reread it in high school, really enjoyed it. And yet for some reason, I never moved on to the second one, even though I really wanted it to. But yeah, this one, from what I remember, is just a solid first book in a middle grade series. Just fantastic. I don't see a lot of people talk about it anymore. But yeah, really great stuff. It has footnotes, like the character of Bartimaeus is just so entertaining, so sarcastic, and even our main character, Nathaniel, who is sort of like a pseudo Harry Potter in a way, and I just found him so interesting because he's just kind of a jerk. He's like a 13-year-old jerk. So or I think 11. He's 11 in here, but yeah. The Amulet of Samarkand, I do plan on rereading it and then moving on to the second book. And then we have stuff in the back. Oh, sweet Lord. Okay. Oof. To Marry an English Lord. So this is about the Gilded Age. So this apparently inspired Downton Abbey. You had these instances of these American heiresses marrying European nobility. You know, they get a title, in exchange the husband would get money. And oftentimes that American money was necessary to keep the estate alive. See in the back here, anything else? I think this is the last one. We have Empire of the Void by Andrew Valenza. This is, I know Andrew from Instagram, and this is a self-pub book. I do plan on reading this. This is another work of science fiction. So yeah, that was messy. So let me just fix all of this, and yeah, we'll conclude this video. So that was my cluttered and messy TBR bookshelf tour. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know down in the comments, what do you think I should read next from these shelves? Have you read anything here? And if so, please let me know. And hopefully I can get back to filming another video soon. So yeah, Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!